Hi guys. Alright, this will be part 5, the last installment of the mini mill, which I no longer have. I sent it back. So the reason I sent it back was I wasn't really impressed with the quality of it. This is nothing against Micromark. They were more than helpful, tried to be helpful, and they gave me a full refund on it. But I kept having problems with the auto feed, the way that the thing is designed. It was bending the brackets in the back of it as it would move one way or the other. I was having a hard time tightening them down, and the stops weren't really working, and it would push it too far, and it would bend the bracket in the back. Or in the last case, it actually broke the little box sensor thing that plugs into the side. It had pushed it into it. So another issue I was having was the y-axis, the part that goes back and forth, front to back, kept loosening up. Well, actually not loosening up, that's not even the proper term for it. I couldn't get it adjusted quite right to where, when you're cranking the knob in and it's going back and forth, it was either too sloppy and would move, or it was too tight and really a pain in the butt to turn the table in and out. So, and I did have, and it took me forever to get the other y-axis, x-axis adjusted so it was doing this, because it was doing the same thing, so, and I'm no expert milling person by any stretch, but when the thing is having a little bit of shake to it, and you're trying to mill apart, and you want some, precision, then that's not good. So, but the last thing I had was the width of the table was about 8 1/4 inches side to side. So this was my first attempt to make anything on the mill, and basically all it is jaws for my vise back here, and this is just standard aluminum. It did mill it pretty good. I don't know if that's going to show up in there. You see a few swirls here and there. Nothing bad. I mean, it was for a jaw, so vise jaws, so I wasn't too overly concerned about that. The problem I ran into was, since the table's only like 8 1/4, 8 1/2 wide span left to right, this piece is 6 and what was it? I measured this. I done plumb forgot. This is a little over 6 1/4, 6 3/8. The head that I had for milling this, was I think about a 3/4 inch round milling head, and the problem I was having with this tiny small piece was getting the mill, say this is the mill sitting right here, to come all the way and clear one edge or the other. And it's like, after thinking about it and playing with it, it's like, what, I really don't know what my ultimate plans are with this other than goofing around, learning how to mill stuff. But obviously, size does matter. This is, you got 2 inches. If that thing is 8 1/2, you got right here to where my finger is, right there. That's as much travel as you have. I guess for smaller pieces, it's really no big deal, and I can't really even see myself doing, like big things. But still in all, that was, kind of a disappointment. And then the simple fact that, the quality of it, and like I said, this has nothing to do with Micromark. They were, very, very helpful. Just the way it was made, and for what you're going to spend on this machine, $2,000, not including, by the time you get the machine, you gotta get all this tooling and all these head bits and clamps and all kinds of stuff. So now I've got all these things, and I don't have a mill to mess with. So I did look at another one for down the road. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. But if you look at Blondie Hacks on YouTube, it is the same exact mill that she has, and she doesn't complain about the mill or the quality of the mill, and apparently it works just fine. For $1,500 more, which I know seems like a lot, but it's a lot bigger table, more horsepower, has the auto feed, has a DRO built into it, That was the other issue with this one here. Getting a DRO to mount on the back of it was going to be impossible because of the way the auto feed sensor mounted. It mounted on the back of it, so you had no place to mount, your x-axis, side to side, guides for, which, the thing is not really that accurate with the backlash on the knobs, so you kind of really needed something like that. And the z-axis travel up and down was another big issue with trying to get your proper depth of cut. And like I said, I am not a professional, I'm not an expert mill person, but when somebody who has no experience, such as myself, trying to dial in, your z-axis height, when you're doing your depth of cut, because this is not a high horsepower machine, so your speeds are different, your rate of feed is different, your depth of cut is different, and the way they had that a gauge on the, if you were looking at the mill on the left side, it was behind the head where the RPM gauge was, so you never could even really use it. I had tried rigging up a dial indicator, putting that in place, farther underneath the headstock to see if I could get kind of a measurement, an idea of how much I was, my depth of cut, and that was an epic fail. It wasn't working too well, one for lack of trying. So that was another thing I didn't like about it, at least on the mill that Blondie Hacks uses. Even if you get the unit without the DRO, it has a built-in Z-axis gauge, or a digital gauge on the top of it, so it tells you, as you're turning it down, what your depth of cut is. And that's extremely important on these smaller horsepower machines, where your depth of cut is really limited, because of the machine. So anyway, didn't want to make this a really long video. I was hoping this thing would have worked better. I had, like I said, no big plans. Planned project number one. But, they're down the road. I'm in no hurry right now. I sent it back and was just kind of aggravated with it, but I still have all the tooling. So eventually I will get another one to play around with and make parts for bikes and stuff like that. I do have a 3D printer. Actually, I got two, and I'm going to be talking about those. One I got on eBay, and I have been filming, putting it together. It was a refurb unit. It was pretty cheap. So, and those I have, obviously making goofy things, like this here little coffee tray. Yeah, pretty cool. Made hummingbird feeders, crap like that. I've actually made bushings for the Suzuki, where it had required a shoulder bolt. The bolt wasn't there, but I had like say a 10 mil bolt that would work, but it didn't have the shoulder on it. And you just get your measurements and bring up Auto Fusion 360 and make you a little bushing. And for a bolt that they want 20 bucks for plus shipping, you can make a little shoulder on it for a penny. So and that's worked out fine, and I used that on the Suzuki, and actually I used it to make some bushings for the upcoming video that I'm going to put out on this little ZD Racing DBX piece of crap tin. So those are kind of interesting, and obviously the one more expensive one I bought was $160. Granted, it can't do what a mill can do, but I'm actually getting some productive use out of it. But anyway, I just wanted to follow this up and let you guys know that I unfortunately did return it. Just wasn't quite happy with it, and as you can see in them other 4 videos, installing this thing and setting it up was kind of a pain in the ass, and the instructions were not good. But it is what it is. So back it went, and hopefully here in the near future, I'm looking at getting a lathe. I do want to play with a lathe too. So we'll see. We'll see what cool tool I get next, other than the 3D printers, which I will be doing something on that. So thanks for watching. Any of you have any questions or comments, leave me a comment below, and I'll respond to you. So thanks again.